away, days burn, disintegrate, years roll along and fade. Don't let them slip away. Right here, right now, today. These are the good old days. Right here, right now, today. Hey, these are the good old days.
It seems as though every toy line from our childhood has one or two mythical figures or vehicles that have become known as holy grails. These are figures or vehicles or toys that are hard to find, that as a child you heard rumors about but maybe never actually even saw. As adult collectors, we relentlessly try to hunt down those lost holy grails that slipped through our fingers as children and now can maybe break the wallet as adults. Now, every line has pieces that are just incredibly expensive to buy now because they're so hard and so rare. I think about Dick Tracy's The Blank as a prime example. But for me, a personal holy grail, and one of my absolute favorite toy lines, the Masters of the Universe, was a figure that is rare, yes, but is not the most rare. But to me, is the figure I wanted the most as a child and didn't get, and that figure is King Randor. To me, Masters of the Universe was at its best when it stuck to the formula of the original 8 figures. Simple repaints and reuse of body parts and new heads, and you have new figures. The further that the figures swayed from this original formula, the less in love with the figures I was. So when King Randor came out, using the same body as He-Man with a new head, it was so slick and simple, I loved it. But, alas, never could I get one. And finding them on the secondary market can get cost prohibitive. However, this week, an incredible friend of mine gifted me with a King Randor. Now, it's pretty janky, but let's see if we can save the king.
Really, Adam?
Okay, so here is our King Randor. You can see he is in pieces, but he's all here. The arms, the chest, the legs, the head, all we need is here. So the first thing we're going to do is get the remnants of the last rubber band out of his legs. It's pretty dry and cracked, so we're going to dig it out. I like to heat up the legs in water to make them a little softer, and then with tweezers or a screwdriver or something, just kind of dig out those last little pieces. And once we get those pieces out, we can put a new He-Band in. That can be a little bit tricky, but I have a couple of videos that show exactly how to do that. So we'll get all this cleaned out and we'll get that new band in. Alright, once we have the rubber bands cleaned out of the leg, we can press the new one in. And once we have that leg softened up in the hot water, it goes in pretty easily. And then once we get the leg band pushed through, we can, on the other side, what I like to do is just use like tweezers. And with those tweezers, hold the band outside of the leg hole there, just like that. And that just makes it a little bit easier when we press on the new leg to have that end of the band sticking out like that. So I just put a screwdriver in and just kind of push it into the new leg. It's a little bit tricky, but once we get it in there, our Randor will be able to stand up for the first time in years. So there we go. He's looking better already. Now, I had to go into my 3D design space and design up a crown for him because his crown has been missing for years. So I designed up a crown. It fits into this little groove in his head, which is a weird way to do it, but that's the way they did it. And so with the crown I made up, I think it's going to look pretty good. And it just snaps into place. And I think it looks pretty fantastic. The next part is the armor, and so I downloaded a printable file of Jitsu's armor, which is the same as Randor's armor. I printed it off in gold here, which I think looks pretty great. And I was tempted just to leave it gold. And so I may do another custom at some point in time of a gold armor Randor. But for what we're doing today, we're going to paint it red to make it look like the vintage toy. So we're just going to use acrylic paint and paint over the spots that aren't supposed to be gold. And once we're done that, we should have armor that looks just like it did back in 1987. Alright, so now that we have his armor more or less painted, we're just going to set it aside and let that dry. Alright, so next up is King Randor's cape. So he had a cloth goods royal blue cape. So I found this lightweight royal blue material. It's the same material we used for the Superpowers Batman cape. And so we're just going to cut ourselves a square of it, and then just kind of eyeing up, we're going to cut out a general cape shape for it, and we should be off to the races. Alright, now once we have our cape shape cut out, what they did in the 80s was had a piece of gold elastic, and we're not going to do that, because what I have here is some piece of gold chain that I bought from the hardware store. And so I'm just going to take a length of it, and I'm going to cut it off. And what I'm going to do is just run a couple links through the cape, up around the neck, like that. And that should slip over top of Randor's head and give him kind of a cool looking cape. I think the chain's going to pop real nice against his armor. And then we put the armor on King Randor, and he's looking pretty good. We throw the cape on top, and he is starting to look like he's ready to rule Eternia. Now, he needs his Grayskull version of a spear, so I'm just going to go into 3D space and make up a spear as best I can, and print it off. And we have the spear, and just for fun, I printed him a little He-Man-esque or Motu-esque looking sword, and I think he is ready to rule.
So there you go. There's our restoration of the King Randor. Again, I thank you so much for this donation. I love that I finally have King Randor in my collection. If you like what we're doing, if you're having as much fun as us, click the like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the YouTube stuff, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video.